Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. Genealogy has ruined me in the best way. I can be perfectly content all day and then I see a hint, a record index, a cemetery photo, or a single line in a probate packet and my brain flips a switch. Next thing I know, I am down a rabbit hole, zooming in on handwriting that looks like it was written during an earthquake, trying to decide whether that squiggle is an S or a J. I've learned to accept this about myself. I am a genealogist, which means I do something most people only do once in a while, and I do it on purpose. I chase names. I follow families across counties and decades. I compare sources that disagree with each other like they are arguing relatives. I build timelines, map migrations, and try to figure out why somebody disappeared from the records in 1900 and reappeared in 1910 with a different first name and the same 3 children. And when I get it right, when the evidence stacks up and the puzzle clicks into place, it gives me a kind of satisfaction I do not get anywhere else. The funny thing is that genealogy is often described as a quiet hobby, but the inside of my head does not feel quiet when I am doing it. It feels like being a detective in a library where the suspects are all dead and the clues are scattered across 100 years of paperwork. It is suspenseful. It is surprising. It is sometimes maddening. It's also joyful in a way that is hard to explain unless you have felt it. I love genealogy because it is one of the few pursuits where curiosity is not just allowed, it is required. Curiosity is the fuel. Without it, you stop at the first answer that looks reasonable. With it, you ask the questions that separate a guess from a conclusion. Who wrote this down? Why did they write it? Were they close enough to know the truth? Were they guessing? Was the person lying? Was the clerk careless? Was the census taker rushing? Did the family move because of work, land, church, war, sickness, or some private reason nobody put in a record? What changed between one decade and the next? Those questions turn a simple name into a living story. Another reason I love genealogy is that it takes ordinary people and proves they were never ordinary. Most of our ancestors were not famous. They were farmers, laborers, homemakers, clerks, carpenters, soldiers, factory workers, and people who did whatever job was available. They raised kids, paid bills, faced disasters, buried loved ones, moved when they had to, stayed when they could, and made thousands of small decisions that built the future. When you research someone long enough, you start to see the courage in those small decisions. You see a young couple marrying and trying to make a home. You see a widowed mother listed as head of household holding things together because there is no other choice. You see a teenager working because the family needs the income. You see a man signing an X because he cannot write. And you realize how much we take for granted when we read and write freely. You see someone showing up in a court record or a newspaper blurb, and you realize that they were not just a name, they were a person with a reputation that mattered in their town. The first time I read a full probate file for an ancestor, it changed how I think about family history. A will is not just a legal document, it is a voice. It is someone trying to control what happens after they are gone. It shows relationships, priorities, tensions, and sometimes kindness that never made it into the stories passed down at reunions. A land deed is not just a transaction. It is a map of ambition, need, and opportunity. A pension file can be a whole biography with affidavits, neighbors testifying, details about injuries, and descriptions that bring the person forward in time. Even the frustrating records have something to teach. Census records are famous for being messy, and they are, but they are still a miracle. A stranger walked door to door and wrote down who lived in that house at that moment. That is not nothing. City directories can feel dry until you realize they show you movement. One year somebody is a laborer on one street. Next year they are a foreman. Later they are gone. Newspaper items can be tiny, almost silly, until you understand that one tiny item might be the only surviving mention of a person outside of births, marriages, and deaths. And then there is the thrill of the chase. Every genealogist knows this feeling. You hit a wall. You stare at the same notes. You try the same searches. You wonder if you will ever know the parents of the person you are stuck on. Then you step sideways. You stop looking for the person and start looking for everyone around them. You research the neighbors. You research the witnesses. You research the people who bought the land next door. You read old maps. You learn when the county formed. You check the tax lists. You check the church records. You look for the sibling you forgot to track. And suddenly something cracks open. That moment is why I keep coming back. Genealogy also pulls history out of the clouds and makes it personal. It is easy to read about wars, economic crashes, epidemics, and migrations like they are just big events that happen to other people. Genealogy refuses to let history stay abstract. When I research my lines, those events are not distant anymore. They show up as missing men, sudden moves, crowded households, children who do not survive, and families that rebuild after loss. You also learn that records are not neutral. They are made by people. People have biases, blind spots, and limitations. A clerk might shorten a name, a census taker might guess at a birthplace, a newspaper might spell a foreign surname 3 different ways in 3 issues. A person might change their name because they are starting over, or because they are trying to fit in, or because they are trying to escape something. Learning this does not make genealogy less reliable. It makes it more honest. It teaches you to weigh evidence, not worship it. That is another reason I love genealogy. It makes me better at thinking. Genealogy trains you to separate evidence from assumptions. It trains you to build conclusions from multiple sources. It trains you to notice contradictions and resolve them. It trains you to admit out loud, "I do not know yet," which is a rare and valuable skill in a world where everyone wants to sound certain. It also teaches humility. I cannot count how many times I felt confident about an identity, only to have one document quietly prove me wrong. The lesson is simple. Do not fall in love with your theory. Fall in love with the truth. Now here is the part that matters for the reader, because genealogy is not only for people like me who enjoy spreadsheets, dusty indexes, and handwritten documents. You should enjoy genealogy too, even if you think you are not the type. Start with this. Genealogy gives you a sense of place and time. Most of us live in a world that moves fast and forgets quickly. Genealogy slows things down in a healthy way. It reminds you that you came from real people who lived through real things. That can make your own problems feel smaller sometimes. And other times it can make your own strengths feel inherited. Not in a magical way. In a human way, you realize that you are here because people kept going. Genealogy also gives you stories your family may not know anymore. Every family has gaps. Every family has lost names. Every family has someone who was never talked about or someone who is only talked about in vague terms. Research can fill in the blanks, and it can do it gently. Sometimes the truth is dramatic, and sometimes it is simple, but either way it is real. If you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or younger relatives you care about, genealogy is a gift you can give them that does not wear out. Photos fade and stories get garbled, but a well-researched family history with sources, timelines, and records can last. It gives younger generations a sense that their life did not begin at their birth. It connects them to something bigger, and that is grounding. Genealogy also connects you to living family in surprising ways. I have seen people light up when they discover a long-lost cousin who has the old photo album. I have watched families repair a sense of identity by finding where they came from. I've seen people cry because they finally learned a maiden name that had been missing for 100 years. That might sound like an overreaction to a name, but it is not only a name, it is a door opening. And there is another benefit people do not expect. Genealogy makes you a better listener. If you start asking older relatives about their parents and grandparents, you learn quickly that everyone has stories they never got to tell. When you ask the right questions, you give people permission to remember. That is a kindness. Also, genealogy is fun in a weird way, and I mean that warmly. You will catch yourself getting excited about a cemetery transcription. You will find yourself squinting at an old signature like it is a clue in a spy movie. You will become the kind of person who knows what a land patent is and why it matters. You will learn that your family story has twists and turns because every family story does. If you do not know where to start, start small. Ask one question and answer it with proof. Who were my grandparents' parents? Where did they live? What did they do? Then go one step back. Keep it simple. Do not try to build the entire tree in one weekend, because that is how you end up copying other people's mistakes and carrying them forward as if they were facts. Genealogy done well is careful. It is slow, it is honest, it is also deeply satisfying. So yes, I love genealogy because it scratches the itch in my brain that loves puzzles and proof. I love it because it makes history personal. I love it because it turns names into people. I love it because it connects families across time. I love it because it keeps surprising me. And I think you should love it too. Not because you need a new hobby, but because genealogy does something rare. It gives you perspective, it gives you stories, it gives you roots, it gives you a way to honor the people who came before you by paying attention to the trail they left behind. There are plenty of hobbies that entertain you for a moment. Genealogy has a way of staying with you, and for me, that is the point. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy searching.